All right, we're live, Miss Zoe. I am so excited and happy to have you. I am ready to raise my vibes, which I always do when you're around. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I
My
am
face just
doing
started freezing.
fantastic. I'm doing
My hands
fantastic.
just got really cold. I think you're pulling in the some Arcturian energy. I'm ready. Let's go.
Ooh,
I know my hands
yeah,
just started like turning ice cold. Um,
yeah.
Everything's good around here. Everything's crazy. Going along with what you were just telling me, like yeah, totally crazy with Charlie and a puppy.
Yes, you crazy girl getting a puppy and having Charlie. What, like,
Thank God, thank Goddess, thank my guys that it's like the chillest puppy ever. I think I'm just, it like amplifies, it pronounces my bitchiness. Like I notice when I'm being a bitch now, you know, I notice when I'm like, you
oh,
know, when people are like, it's a puppy, so like calm down, it's just a puppy. And I'm like, oh, I'm being the bitch. Like the puppy. I think because like what we were saying, I was like, I always like cats, but I never am drawn to them because like dogs give you a lot of love. Dogs like just pull, they do all the work for you, you know, like they just pull all of the heaviness out of you. They're totally like just walking dopamine and like emotion sponges. So I think I've always loved dogs because I always like needed that. But since I've changed so much, I was telling my sister this, like I was like, I've changed so much since I last owned an animal. Now when I have an animal, it's like I'm like, what do you want? Why are you here? What are you doing here? Like instead of being like, oh puppy, 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 like I used to be, like because I don't really need that anymore. I'm just like, hello, like go away. You can go away now. Like and I think that's more of the cat energy.
yes,
As
yes.
they go, they're kind of really intuitive as to what's going on. Cats are super magical.
They are. They are. They really are. And I heard and read that what they do is when they are sleeping and purring, they're actually pulling energy from you that they're gonna that during the sleep time, they're transmuting that negative energy out of your body.
They absolutely are transmuting. That's why they're always like on a chakra. They're always like on somebody's like direct bundle of nerves. Um, Copper loves to sleep on Charlie's feet, and I was wondering if that was like a grounding thing. They both seem wildly ungrounded, like like recklessly ungrounded beings. So it's the blind leading the blind between Charlie and Copper with grounding. But I don't know what that's about. They seem like they know each other. But with the cats, they also are like kind of their love, that purr they make when they're feeling like really in tune and one with you, it like harmonizes. It's like harmonizing your aura. It's like totally protecting, amplifying, cleansing. It might not be as 3D rewarding as like a dog, like really excited. A dog treats you like a celebrity, you know, when you come in the
Yep.
house, it's always like,
Yes.
it's you. Like, and it happens like every day. So it's like something's really excited that I'm here. Like something is really excited for me, which is cool. That's a good feeling. But I wonder if like the more advanced, like upgrade animals like cats, because they're just like, you know, you pet me when I want you
That's very true.
to. Like we have boundaries. It's
But
really
I'm very lucky with my cat. I'll call him if he's not with me. I'll call him, and even if he's sleeping, he'll get up and come and lay on my lap.
oh my god, that's
Yeah,
a good partner.
yeah.
It's like when I ask you, not just always, like Copper's like always right here. Anywhere I go in the bathroom, it's like, what are you doing? Do you have snacks? But I'm getting you. I think I don't know. It's so cool having an animal around. I'm always looking at things from like incarnational perspective. Like I think sometimes we can love animals so much that they can like take a few leaps and jump avatars, you know, as their
Yeah.
souls are transcending. Because a lot of the people that I work with, like, will have a dog that passes away and like becomes a guide or becomes like a dragon or becomes like you know, it's not the usual procession of advancement with like bodies that you can have experiences with. It's like I think that sometimes our love can transcend that because I'm like, I don't feel your dog anywhere earthly. Like I feel your dog like as a dragon, or I feel like your dog is changed into a person, or is choosing a human incarnation next, which is really that's really awesome.
Wow, that's really interesting. Do you see the auras of the animals?
In death or
No,
whether
no,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
when they're alive.
I see the waves of energy coming off almost everything. And that was really confusing when I was figuring myself out, because everything has an aura, even like things that we think aren't real, aren't alive. Like everything has like a little energy field
It
around you.
does. I've seen that.
Yeah. And it's really small with the inanimate objects. Except for crystals. Crystals have huge, different, weird things going on. But yeah,
Hmm.
just like a lamp has an aura, or you can see them on planes. I think a lot of people see them passing. Do you ever see an aura around a plane, like on the
No.
wall?
Uh-uh.
Mm. Well, yeah, everything has one. So it's like figuring that out, figuring your way around, like what's what. Took me a while.
So when you say, that's the conversation I wanted to have today, really was about auras and the things that you see, when you are seeing auras, you're able to see like, aren't you able to see like diseases or like,
Mm-hmm.
and like, what are you able to see in auras? Because I know it's not only a field around us, it's also a place that like where things get stuck and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's like a sandbox. It's like your astral kind of template. If you think about it very like almost like a computer. How do you it's like so with auras, it holds everything. The aura holds everything. So if you look for it with your intent, you can find it, which is why like when I tap in, I just tune into somebody's energy and they'll start asking me specific questions and I'll just start relaying what's coming through their aura.
Hmm.
That's sometimes a lot of what I'm seeing. You know, I see things with like hears. I do see things with my two eyes more and more lately, which is really freaky. But most of the things I see with my eyes open are through my mind's eye. And I know that these are things other people aren't seeing. But so when people step forward for me, like when I'm pressing my intention to your aura, or I'm looking for something in the aura, then 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 that's how I can like connect with the guides. That's how I connect with future selves and past selves and all the in between stuff. But and sometimes that's more in the arc line in the subtle body. But when I am like just looking at broad stroke aura, that's when you can see the rips and the tears, and you can see the holes. You can see like the diseases. You can see if there's field lines magnetizing to your specific aura. So I can see, like, if you have children, I can see if you have a romantic partner that's magnetizing towards you. You can see thought forms being put in or downloading. So that's like, it's like kind of two different ways, maybe really interior and then the looking at the shell of the thing.
Wow.
But that took me a long time.
Really?
That took me a very long time to figure out. And no, it's actually gone super fast since I
Woke
awoke since
since
I
you
woke,
woke up.
since I woke up. We'll say it easy. It's gone rapidly since I started working directly with my higher self and my guides and like tapping into spirituality. I've always kind of seen this stuff, but never as like controlled as I do now. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So in the beginning, when you were seeing like tears or whatever you were seeing, how did you figure out, oh, that's what
Mm.
that is?
Okay. Like when I was younger, I don't think I
Oh,
knew what I was looking at when I was younger. Um,
oh, okay. So how did you end up figuring out what these things were that were in the field?
like I used to call people colors. I used to call people colors a lot, and my mom would like note like I was calling them the wrong color with like black. She was teaching me about races with like black people and white people, and I would say like all of the colors for people, and I think that's I don't know. Maybe that kind of explains how I was seeing things. I have like this super Gemini pattern seeking brain. So I did notice things happening with energetic movements connecting with what people were telling me. So I think I noticed really early when adults were lying to me, and
Mm.
I noticed just kind of how nobody was being what they were saying. Nobody was doing what they were saying, and I think it made it okay for me to lie as much as I did, when I was
Yeah,
little.
because everybody else is doing it.
Right, right. And I think I was so disconnected, and I knew there was just some stuff that I was met with so much resistance about what I was saying, dreams that I was having, things that were happening with my eyes open, that I just shut up about it forever, and like played my way through that. When it got louder, then I started drinking. Then it got louder. Then I started everything else, and um, it wasn't until I really met my teacher and started learning like etheric anatomy and like that there's names for this stuff that I see, that blew my mind. That was the moment where I was like, oh, that's that. When I was reading about the 10 body system and how like the subtle body is around the feet. And I'd be like, oh my God, that's what that thing is. It's always moving inside people's feet, or like a lot of connecting with like high spiritual masters who see these things too allowed me to figure out what's what, and then like proceed from there.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So, okay, so then there was something that you were seeing from since you were young.
Hmm. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Some stuff I was seeing since I was young, a lot of people's guides, a lot of like other movement around them. I think when I was little, like as soon as I was alone, I would start talking to myself. Like as soon as bodies left the room, then I'd be like blah 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 blah, and it was always like full on conversation with multiple things, like sitting around a dinner table, I would like be talking to different things at the dinner table. I think my parents were so, my mom was into her, spell work, and my stepdad was who he was. So nobody was really paying attention to me more than, just the normal. It could be dismissed as like I was just a quirky kid or like a only child or something like this. But yeah, and it even happens now. I was telling my friend, I was like, I don't know how I would ever date anyone, because like all they would see me is like talking to the air all day, like talking to the bed next to me, talking to the sky, looking at this, looking at that, like never making eye contact with them. I was like, that would be such a strange experience for anybody. For anybody, I even think like a high spiritual being would be freaked out by like seeing me. Maybe not Charlie. Charlie's pretty used to it.
Well, I was going to ask you, is he doing the things that you were doing when you were young or no?
He is, and he's very hush hush about it, which is confusing because I'm always like, I see that stuff too. I don't see things that he sees. He sees the things he's said to me. I don't see. Like he'll notice different ships, and he'll just talk to the sky a lot, and he's always kind of looking up. Or like if you're in conversation with him, he'll just kind of like look above your head and just like stay there and gaze there. And I'm always like, what are you seeing? And he gets very like, so I don't know. I don't know how to make him feel comfortable.
So you're basically asking for ships to show up all the time. So
Right?
he's
I'm
like,
like, come on,
chill.
Charlie. I don't know, but he's very tight-lipped around me. I don't know if I like am not allowed to know. Maybe it's stuff that's not my business. But the first time he saw Garrett, he grabbed his hand and said, "Grandpa," and he just like Garrett was like, and like he just started like pulling him around the house and like grandpa this and grandpa that and blah 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 blah. And it was like, okay, okay. I know we're all connected somehow. But then Garrett started speaking star to him. Garrett started speaking in light language, and Charlie was like, you cannot do that here. Like that was the vibe. Like he was like, what are you doing? Like shh. And so Garrett was like, what is going on with this? I was like, I speak light language to that kid all the time. I don't know. He's really weird and secretive. And maybe it's a Pisces thing. I don't know. I feel like it's about his mission. Maybe he just has some like directives in his aura that's just like this is not to be shared all the time. I was really surprised as much questions that he answered with you.
I know. I'm ready for him if he shows up. I'm like, okay, if he shows up, I'm ready.
You know, he's on the ship. He's not feeling well. He went to sleep like 20 minutes ago, which is so rare. He never takes a nap. So I'm like, he must be getting some healing. I don't know. We both have these stuffy noses. It sucks. But it's harder for him because he can't blow his nose so well.
Yeah.
It's like, Mom, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, just breathe through your mouth. And then he just gave up and fell asleep.
Oh, wow. Well, I had a feeling he would. I don't know why.
You probably put it out there.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
You can do that. Feel free to do that for me all the time.
All right. So, Dennis has a question for you. Can you ever see an overlay of others' auras around people or animals?
Oh, like I can see that if somebody's channeling. Is that what I think that maybe an overlay. You know, maybe I know what you're talking about.
Of others.
People who are in very intimate relationships or have known each other for a very long time, when they all link together, their auras start making these interesting undulating patterns of connection. It becomes one. It becomes kind of like a infinity symbol of cycling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's usually when it's a really like deep love, intimate connection. Then I'll see like an overlay, mom, kid, they do that all the time. Or just romantic partners if they like each other. Only if they like each other.
So it's not like an overlay. It's more like an actual
interweaving.
It's not like one on top of the other.
Yeah, and I think that's why long-term relationships are always finishing each other's sentences and like very deep connection, kind of etheric connection, because they're like energetically connected, literally. But overlays, I think I know what you're talking about is if somebody's channeling, then I do see an impression of the being channeled inside that person's aura.
Oh.
Question, right?
Okay, so is somebody, okay, that's a great thing to bring up. So you're saying if somebody's channeling, then you do see the channeling or the thing being channeled, that energy, you see it within the existing aura of the person.
Yeah, there's always a line of connection. There's always kind of a line of communication. It's not wireless in the ethers. There's cords everywhere. Yeah, so sometimes that's why it's really interesting when I'm watching people saying they're channeling. No.
And they're not channeling.
Yeah. Okay. And so like, that's why I like tell people it's a burden, I was just talking to Robin about this. I was like, getting those hits, those intuitive hits or those psychic hits can be a burden sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like knowing somebody's loved one is going to pass away and like not knowing, do I say something, do I not say something, or knowing when somebody isn't being as upfront with you as they should be, and like you don't confront it. There's like a grace in like just kind of accepting that, maybe that's where they're at right now, where they have to broadcast something that's not actually happening. But it is dangerous, I think, in this timeline because of all the misinformation that's just rampant, And then there's people channeling things that aren't that nice. Like you don't want to open a channel to that radio station. And there, right now we just hear channel. Not to freak everybody out. I already feel it. Everyone's going to be like, no, the channels. But this is the thing. If you're a light worker, like if you're tuned into Lisa Herrera's show, you're a light worker. Like, let's just put it out there. And like, you have to get used to living in this polarity planet where stuff is attracted to your light. Like, get stronger. That's it. Don't be afraid. Don't just like, the fear is what they want. The fear is literally what they want, to keep you afraid and looking and like, that's the whole point. So just just don't be like, when people say a channel could be channeling a negative energy, that doesn't mean that you like shut the computer down. No more YouTube, no more Instagram. I'm done. Like some people get like that. They do. And it's like, no, man, like you get stronger. you can't change this world overnight. Like you can, maybe, maybe, maybe there's somebody out there of that capacity. But in this world, I think we're going to go through a lot. So you have to build a grit. You have to, especially as you're a light worker, not a light runner.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And again, I remind people that when you walk into a dark room and you turn the light on, what happens to the darkness?
Mm,
You are way more powerful than
I love that metaphor.
anything else.
Yeah, just shine as bright as you can. Do the counterintuitive thing. If something's attacking you, love it. Love it.
Yeah,
And love you so much. I forgive you
absolutely.
so much. You are the best. You're amazing. I love you, love you, love you. They hate it. They'll leave you in a second.
Absolutely. And remember, we create our reality. You created that. Somehow, some way,
Mhm.
you've created this into your reality. And so when you love it, you are loving your creation. And your ugly baby, right? The ugly baby is that thing that is the fear, right? And you have to love your ugly baby.
I know so many moms that are scared of having ugly babies. You're gonna love your baby regardless, but yeah, you've seen those babies. They exist. Those babies that are like, oh, what a cute outfit. You know, there's those babies that like, oh, that's a face only a mother can love. That's so sad. That is so sad where we're at, but it is true, man. I
Yeah.
think shaping our reality is such a pain in the ass right now because it's so much responsibility. It's so much compared to what we're used to dealing with. Like we're so used to being like something else take care of me. Like the government should do this. I want to have a business. I need to do this with the government. Or I mean, like I need like to. I don't know. Everything is supposed to feed me and support me and like fix things for me, and that's how we set up this modern civilization, which is beautiful in a way. But it has made us like incapable of so much. So to say, oh yeah, by the way, you also control everything you're experiencing is like, I ask people to meditate and that's too much. I ask
Well,
people to meditate for 10 minutes. No, nah, I can't. I'm really
well, it's, when you see the simulation, and you know this, that because of the
busy.
mushroom experiences I've had, once you see the simulation and you see yourself as a hologram and you see your cat as a hologram, and you realize that this hologram experience is created by you, and therefore your eyes take those holograms and
Mm,
create them and make them real, but they're only there for the experience.
exactly.
So yeah, it's just all the universe is a feedback loop for
Right.
you to know and understand what your beliefs are, and what you think, and what you're, it's just there for you to realize. And if you realize then that that's the case, and you choose to be loved 100% of the time, like Jesus did,
Mhm.
then hello, everything that will come back to you has no choice but to be love, because
That's
it's
the
a
formula.
vibration that you're putting out.
Right. Right. It's a formula. It's totally a formula. Do unto others is like it's not just being noble for being noble's sake. Because it's like if you want to, be comfortable on this planet, you have to be generative. You have to be positive. Even think about it in the like fundamentalist base term. Positive means giving, positive means adding, positive means I have like added something to you, I'm giving you something, I'm radiating something. That's all positive means. It doesn't mean good or bad, it means that it's adding something. Negative means it's subtracting something, it's taking something,
Yep.
removing something, right? So you're
Mhm.
depleting something. That's all it means. If you think about it really neutral like that, then it can become really easy to get why giving to charity is good for you to do,
Oh,
right?
well,
It's
big
really,
time.
yeah, it's really easy to understand why I shouldn't hit that person, right? Because if I'm giving them that, I'm also giving it to myself. Like it's really easy to understand the formula of this place. It's pretty basic. It's pretty simple, but we just have to like get over ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and the clinging to. I always argue with Goddess Source Waheguru about this. I'm always like sometimes when I'm in deep meditation, I'll tap into that super neutral seer, like the Zoe behind the Zoe behind the Zoe who's just kind of watching. And whenever I tap into that, I'm always like, well, fuck, man. I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm like, well, shit. Like, this doesn't matter. None of this matters. Absolutely none of it. You're just like, my egoic self is arguing with my higher self about why? And, these levels of vibration that we're getting to allows us to see this so that we can kind of release some of this attachment we have to this world. Like,
Yes.
yeah, it really, really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The only thing that you have to do in this simulation is add to it, be positive, like add something good to it instead of removing things or taking from it. I think, I don't know. Sometimes people want to work on ascension and raising their vibration. And then I'm like, well, will you stop dyeing your hair? No, no, I can't do that. And so
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You're still very attached to this world and what you think you look like and what you think you should look like. And the only way to I don't know. That takes a while. That takes a bunch of incarnations to get there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just a matter of really understanding that we are just riding on this vehicle, and that the real us is really awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and that awareness just decided to have this experience, and
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the experience you choose to have, right? Every experience is going to be different, so it's all about just learning the lessons for that experience,
Right.
and in the end, it's all about becoming love and loving others that have hurt us, and
Mm-hmm.
loving others that are not believing what we believe, and loving others that are different than us. It's all about just turning around and being pure love.
Yep. That's it. We figured it out. Okay, the live's over. Bye,
High
everybody.
five.
But why is it so hard? It's hard. I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard to get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I tell you, I feel like I'm there. Um, but I have always been a fast learner. You know me, I was an engineer. I was a learner always. And so you can tell me something once and I'm like, okay, let's do it. So being in this state of pure peace and just, having everything, it's, it's, it's interesting because I arrived and now it's like, oh, and now what?
That's the thing. It's always like a hole in the human's heart, no matter what. If you have everything, I tell people this about the people want to get on a spaceship and fly away from here. And like, if a spaceship landed in front of your house today and said, "Okay, you're done. You can come back to Andromeda now," and that's what you're waiting for everything to get better. You get to the Andromedan galaxy, you're still going to be miserable. You're not going to be happy there. There's still going to be something else that you need to feel better, right? It's not until you figure out that you got it already, which is so hard to get. I took when I work with people with Kundalini yoga, when they dedicate themselves to their practice and they're doing the 40-day mantras and they're doing the meditations every day, their lives shift. It makes a really fast vibrational shift, and a lot of people reach this success where they're like, I have everything I want, right? Like I've achieved I don't have the financial problems anymore, and I have a relationship, and I have a really nice home, and I'm still kind of like, I'm still kind of looking for something. I'm always
Yeah.
developing that. So I think that's why in Buddhism it's always like chasing fulfillment and being neutral and being content and just having peace. And peace feels like boredom.
Yeah, peace does feel like boredom, but what I have learned is that we have been manipulated and mind controlled to believe we have to be doing something. And
Mhm.
so what I realized and I received from my guides was, what does your heart feel like doing right at this moment in time? So I will go to my heart space and I'll be like, okay, what do you want to do? What do you feel like doing? I want to pet the cat. Okay, so I can pet the cat for an hour, no problem. Seriously.
That's really your soul. That's how souls talk.
And so okay, so we pet the cat. Now what next? What do I feel like doing? Oh, I feel like going outside and checking out the squirrels. Okay, let's go do that. So it's about really following, like, I don't know if you know who Bashar is, but really
Mm.
following your highest excitement, which of course, if you have a job that you hate, how can you follow your highest excitement? You can't. You have to stay at work. You're a slave,
Mhm.
right? So that's why it's so important that people kind of open their eyes to knowing that, just like in a video game, you will not see the promised paradise until you get through the hard part, right? In the video game, there's like a hard part that you have to go through.
Boss level. It's the worst. It takes forever.
It takes forever, but once you get through it, what's there at the end?
The paradise and all the money and the flowers and the you win and the champion trophy and all that stuff. And then you know what? After people like spend 6 months of their life trying to defeat a video game and they win, and then they're like the next day they're like, well now what? Like like the same thing, you know? And I always think about remerging with source, like what, when you're finally done having this experience and you can just kind of bliss out in samadhi. When I think about it, it like overwhelms me. It gets too, I'm like, no, like I want to be doing stuff. I don't want to be doing nothing. And my guys like laugh at me. They're like, she's like worried about bliss. Like she's worried about being at like too.
Right.
But
But isn't that messed up though?
it's
You
not.
don't think that's messed up that
I
we
do.
don't feel comfortable when we're peaceful? That is messed up.
And like, because if I'm not doing something, then what am I doing?
Exactly.
And like, I'm always saying that, like, what am I supposed to do? Go hum under a tree? I don't want to hum under a tree for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know. I get all worked up about the doing of the stuff, and I'm like, I have too much stuff to do and not enough time. And then they're like, you don't have to do any of it. All you have to do is stop. Literally, if you don't want to, just stop. And I'm like, but 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 it's, you know what, I was reading something interesting. Was I reading it or watching it, that something has to happen for a certain amount of generations for it to become self-perpetuating, like for it to make the subconscious imprint like into your incarnation, that you're going to repeat this cycle. I always think about like the self-perpetuation of this matrix, how like the slaves are controlling the slaves. Like it's so graceful, it's so exquisite, this damn thing that we live in, that we are running it. Like it's like a self-governing jail where like the prisoners are governing the prisoners and telling them, no, you have to stay in prison. There's not even a warden anymore. Like the wardens are like remote,
Oh
you
my
know.
God. You know what? So I had that thought the other day. I went to see River Dance at the theater here.
I love River.
And yeah, it was amazing. So I noticed that people are sitting at the light waiting for the little thingy to tell them to cross the street. There are no cars coming, no cars anywhere. And people are standing there waiting for the light to tell them to cross. And I'm like looking at them like, are you serious? Like, and I'm walking and of course, I'm crossing the street and I'm like,
And they're
no,
probably looking at you like, look at this
yes,
asshole.
yeah.
Like just not listening to the rules. Oh my God, I know. It's like, I know. It's mind blowing when you're awake. I
we
think
are we are just so trained to follow the rules and follow to be told what to do. It's like, oh, I don't want to do it. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what to do, and it's like, oh
that's what I'm saying.
my God.
Being control of your own life is too much responsibility. I need somebody else to do it, because like to say that I'm in control of everything that I'm experiencing means that I have to develop a lot of thought about what I'm experiencing, and most people aren't thinking about what they want to experience. They're just going along with it. So why do they go along with it? That's why I think that that thing stood out to me today when it was like, I feel like maybe the things that implemented the mind control had to be very violent for a certain amount of years, like the Crusades, like slavery, right? Like all of the things, the Holocaust, all those things that just made those impressions
Yeah.
that went on for continue, like you die and reborn, and you're reborn into it, and maybe 3 to 7 generations into it, like they don't even need to do that to you anymore for you to keep perpetuating the behavior. You know, I don't even need to hurt you anymore for you to keep working. I don't have to whip you. You're going to do it. You're just going to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to starve you and take your kids. You're going to put your kids in the system and you're going to do it. And it's so fucked. You know, it's so like people ask me all the time, like, I really want to take my kids out of school, but I don't know if I should. Yeah.
What?
Absolutely. Take them out of school. Like, are
As
you
fast as you can.
right? And they're like, well, you could get in trouble. That's the first thing you hear. Like, that's, you could get in trouble. I guarantee you take your kids out of school, it'd be like a while till anybody came knocking on your door, like, where are the kids? You know, unless they're already in the public school system. Sometimes that happens. But I know that's just how it's like literal kidnapping, that kids like have to go to school. I can't choose that I don't want my kid to go to school. They're not your kids. So why is the government even involved in that? They can say it's about regulation because maybe a few people misbehaved, but I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, it all comes down to belief, because
Yeah.
it made you believe that you will get in trouble. But if
Somebody told me, right?
in your reality, if you know in your heart you won't get in trouble, you won't. And I'll tell you, because I've already manifested that policemen don't see me on the road. They will not see me. I will go right by them and they won't stop me. Why? Because first of all, I'm vibrating higher than they are.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, I have a belief that they don't see me, therefore they don't. So am I going to get in trouble? No. Why? Because they don't see me. So it's the same idea. Get out of the matrix by changing your belief system.
Yeah, that's so hard because like then you get into the what if it doesn't work? You know, like what if I do it and it doesn't work? And I'd rather just do what I've seen works, you know, which is behave.
And that's how they control you.
Right?
It's by doubt, because
and that's what I'm saying. It's so easy. It's self-contained. It's a self-perpetuated cycle at
Yes.
this point. And the only thing I think that can shake something like that awake is frequency, is sound, right? They use frequency and sound against us all the time. So it's neutral. It can be used to help people to shake out and break out of their conditioning and because I just don't see, you know. So there's some people that have that desire to be free of this. Like you, like I, like most Starseeds, most people in your audience have a different vibration, right? So like this stuff never sits well with us. It's discordant. Like that harmony and my harmony do not get along, right? So it's like you will fight to look for truth and we'll fight to look for freedom and find it. But if you don't have that advantage, then I don't know how much convincing can a starseed give to a sleeper. But like, you know, verbally talking to a program, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And in the end, I think we're meant to awaken at our own, like at our own pace, in our own little simulation, right? Each of
I
us
think
has
you can
a different
definitely
reality. What's that?
I think a large amount of people with intent on doing something can definitely speed things up for the rest of the collective. I know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Journey, and you'll bump into their higher selves and you'll bump into contract. You try to do too much. Like know that. But I do think that there is some just like I don't know. It needs to be balanced. It's so unharmonious. It's just too much darkness here. There's like, you know, I feel like we bring this into harmony so things can be balanced so that we can have a chance, a fighting chance, or maybe use some sneaky starseed ninja things to wake people up that might have never been on that path, you know, that their soul might have been kept going into the same reincarnation cycle and was never showing any sign of stopping, and it wouldn't have happened unless like there's some sort of mission like yours that who knows. I think the fun part about those like RPG games are like how many of your friends can you take with you to the next level, like more so
Yeah.
than just like me just winning. Like I'm gonna go back into the game so I can like get all my homies with me, right? So that we can all go back. So maybe I don't know.
I
Sometimes
think
it's
I
interesting.
think ultimately what it is and what it comes down to is, what do you believe? If you start believing that everybody in your reality is awakened, your reality has no choice but to give you that.
Mhm.
Everything is based on what you believe. That's why I tell people, don't call them the sheeple, don't call them the normies, don't call, they are the awakening ones.
Yeah,
Now whatever you believe is what you get. So if you want more people to awaken, then you have to believe
that they're
that
awakening.
they are awakening.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. I was listening to Dolores Cannon, and she was talking about the second waves and the first waves of volunteers, and how like the first waves did a lot of the grunt, like dirty work. Like they were the indigos that came in the 60s and the 50s, and it was like really heavy religious programming and crazy gender conditioning and crazy like all sorts of everything was really heavy, and they had to like move all that stuff out of the way, and so they could develop like this bitterness. And then they have children that are the second waves of Starseeds or volunteers, and their children are just completely non-social, like completely like I don't want to connect with anybody. My parents were crazy; they were all head fucked from whatever they lived through. Like I don't connect with any of these people. I don't like I don't want to be here. I want to go back home, whatever it is. And like that's not the point. I guess if you're here as like a bodhisattva, one of those souls that has agreed to keep incarnating in a place until every soul has reached enlightenment, or you are here on a volunteer mission, or you're here on a starseed mission, just identifying out from humanity doesn't work. That's not why you came. You came to connect and to uplift and change vibration. And, the whole I don't know, man. I don't know where I was going with this. I think just like people hate on Earth so much, and they hate on the sleepers, and they hate on humanity. And my guides have been telling me, like, do like, like Human Wind Day, or just promote really positive things about the children of Gaia, because there's so much beauty to this race on this planet. There's so
Oh
much
yeah.
beauty to humanity, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
so much they have so much more. We have so much more capacity than what we have been given.
Hmm.
So I think like
Well, we're God. I mean, we're God in a organic holographic body, right?
yeah,
So
we're
we are
having a finite experience.
we are everything.
We are literally everything. So yeah, so just it's frustrating when your mom is asleep and like is forcing the boosters and all that stuff on you, and is like constantly watching CNN and whatever the thing is, or your husband won't get a grounding mat, or whatever. I don't know what people complain about, but like this stuff, if you're very awake and you're surrounded by people who are programmed, instead of getting like, oh my god, I hate all these people, like turn your light on brighter, because
Yeah,
that's
because
they're
the
being strategically placed there to
yes,
glow, right? To
yeah.
like glow as bright as you can. Don't just
Well, and not only that, it is possible. I had asked a while back why my ex-husband was such a skeptic, and why, he must be a really young soul. And what came back was like, no, he's a really old soul. He's just here for you to learn to accept others that have different opinions.
mm,
So sometimes they're there for our lesson. But ultimately, again, if they're not here for a lesson, for your less specific lesson that you programmed into this reality, then they're here for you to um, you are able to change how you see them, and they will change in your simulation. They will change their behavior. I've done it. I've done it. If you change your expectation of that person, your reality will change, and the person will actually start acting
Has to
different.
respond. You just change the vibration. I think that's like what we say. If you're generating a feeling about somebody that's negative, just flip it on its head, 180 to like the exact opposite of that feeling. If you hate somebody, just love them. If your kid's getting on your nerves, just be like, wait, I love every minute of this baby shark that you won't turn off. Like I love that all of the things that are just like, oh, I make you want to kill, make it like make you want to create, and it can turn really interesting. But at the same time, that takes a lot of energy. Just telling somebody to do that and them actually applying it, that takes a lot of energy from that person that might not have, that might be so depleted from being a walking zombie for so long, that's been just, sucked the life out of. Just to have the capacity to change their mental vibration on their own can be impossible for some people, and that's why I think I love the way any kind of chanting works, because any kind of sound that you're pronouncing changes your mental vibration, and it will change your reality. So if you can not, have the mental tenacity to be a juggernaut and like change your hate into love, because that transmutation takes an energetic exchange, then I think that like that's why people begin doing the yoga and they begin meditating, they begin developing that spiritual energetic grit to even encompass the stuff that you are explaining, like there's just looking at it, it's like I can give you the key to the universe right now, but you would never be able to receive it. Like Carlos Castaneda said, like I could tell you the secret to the world right now, but if you cannot understand what I'm saying, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is if whatever is you're seeing on your purview and you're the projector of what you're seeing, doesn't it, make sense that you have to change the projector in order to change what you see?
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Totally.
So, yeah. And it's been proven that our eyes are just projectors of stuff like, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, I have a video now of somebody that took a picture of the clouds and they did filters on them, and ultimately they showed the circuit board that is the sky.
Okay. Yeah, you can see it sometimes. Sometimes you can see it. It's easier when there's clouds. When I first was like, when I was like heavy into certain recreational drugs, I would just like look at the sky and like think at the different clouds, and I could make them spell out my name. Like I could make the clouds start like writing different letters just like by projecting an intent. And I would think I would like, usually I was by myself, but sometimes like my friend Dave was with me, and sometimes even Jack when he was younger was with me, and he did it once because I was showing him what I was doing, and he wrote like a J with the clouds, and I was like, see, this is totally like, this is totally a video game. I was trying to explain to him,
It
but
is totally a video game.
yeah, Jackson's always believed in God, even before I did.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
deep spiritual master. My oldest, very quiet. I'm gonna start calling him sensei. Oh, Charlie got accepted into a dojo, so he's gonna start karate.
Oh my God, that's going to be so interesting.
I'm gonna weaponize the crazy. I do want to start finding more outlets that work on this planet for the high vibrational children that are coming in.
Yes.
All of
So Sherry Divban, I don't know if you've seen Sherry Divban. She just opened a school here in Florida that is about that.
cool.
And it's a completely spiritual school. They teach them like spiritual, natural law, crystals, just
Those things are popping up. I think there's one in Maryland that's happening pretty soon
well,
too.
she came from Maryland.
Oh, maybe
So
that's
she,
scary.
yeah, yeah. So she was in Maryland, and the school that she opened, she just moved to West Palm.
Okay, so there's Does that mean there's 2 branches
Mhm.
now? Or did
Yeah.
just the whole school move?
I think that's the first school that she's opened.
I think you'll find that there's she's gonna need a lot more because like so many parents are trying to figure out what's up with their kids. So many parents have these like crazy high vibrational children that are coming in with like their computer, their mind is like the quantum computer. We're running the like Dell processor from like years back. And the kids have like no way to understand the mechanism that they are, and it's reading as all sorts of crazy and all sorts of, uh terrible things are happening because they don't have a connection to what they're connected to. Nobody's explaining to them that they're responding to energy, right? Nobody's
Yeah.
explaining to them that they're sensitive to certain things that most people can't see. So having a child nowadays is like, every 1 in every 10 kids has autism.
Yeah, that's madness.
That's crazy. If it was anything else, that would be considered an epidemic. That's like
Yep.
the worst for an epidemic, but it's not being like addressed or
Yeah.
handled.
Yeah.
There's no national campaign to stop autism. It's like an evolution, and like nobody, those spiritual schools where like a kid can grow up like having a connection to a different higher vibration than what's presented in public school and private school and Catholic school. It's going to be a game changer for our future, and they're just going to be so annoying. I know it. They're going to be so like they're just going to be like broadcasting telepathic thoughts to everybody, or like levitating or disappearing. you
Oh
know
my God, that sounds like so much fun. I can't wait. That's just going to be amazing.
I can't wait to. I want to see it, but I know they're good. Every generation hates the younger generation. So we're going to be like, we used to meditate and astral project and take mushrooms and play with crystals. And now all you guys want to do is levitate and go to the Pleiades on your break. And like, the generations always have to like bicker at each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, so I wanted to cover this question um, for I think I know who this is. So thick goddess energy. She's just starting QHHT. Have either of us come across bad aliens and how to help someone navigate learning this info?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. And in the video game, there's all sorts of players. All sorts. There's no aliens. There's no anything that's all one thing.
Correct.
Yeah, there's nothing that's just good. Or, there's all sorts of regressive energies. Earth specifically is a planet of polarities. That's the Earth equation. So there's going to be negative things, there's going to be positive things, because the whole point is to reach neutrality. You're bad if you're connected to interdimensional realms, extra dimensional realms. You're going to run into that polarity everywhere you go, and you'll find it in almost every dimension, not all of them. So how to navigate that? Developing a connection with your intuition, developing discernment, sitting with yourself and becoming sensitive to subtle energies to know. It takes a reconnection where there was none established before. And just as simple baseline intuitive development, you can ask. You can just ask. If you run into something that has a vibe that you're not really sure about, like ask it and see what your higher self responds. See like the first answer that comes right back to you. And that'll usually be, not even usually, that'll always be the right one. You can, if that's the easiest way to say. There's all sorts of stuff. Sound is a beautiful way to do anything in this matrix. There's protective frequencies, there's protective mantra, there's protective invocations, there's incantations, there's crystals, there's all sorts of stuff. But really just like changing your mind about how you feel about the thing, becoming as neutral and love centered as you can would be the most influential way to shift how you are experiencing those kind of realms.
Yeah, knowing that you're the light, knowing that that not getting into fear is what I would think is one of the things that I would say is
Mm-hmm.
not get into the fear scenario, because then you're going to create a reality you really don't want to create.
Right.
So stay away from the fear scenario. Understand that just there's some evil human beings. Let me tell you, the reason that the ETs don't want to come and hang out with us is because we're so violent. So let me tell you, there might be bad aliens, but we're no different. We have some humans on Earth that are just as bad.
The ones that are interested in the ones that are of this beautiful vibration where they like are responding to the call of us are usually terrified of us. They're usually like Andromedan beings. They're terrified of like Earth. We kill each other over what?
Yes.
For nothing.
Yes.
Like we throw rocks at each other. We find like these really weird ways of torturing and hurting each other. And yeah, that could be because of something else's fault, draconian, reptilian, whatever you want to call it. But it is what it is. We're still doing it. So it's like, don't be scared of aliens as much as you're scared of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
sure, becoming the light would be great. But does that mean you have to go hang out with them? No. It just means like, there's I can be neutral about anything, but I still have like I don't want to like chill with you or like, meditate
Right.
with you or something. I can
Yeah.
just I think just the discernment is something that's worth developing.
Okay. And then she's saying now, but I had a client discover she was from an alien race that liked to inflict pain. She was doing this in her life and wasn't someone who even thought twice about aliens.
Mhm.
Okay, so I actually had someone that was in this lifetime was like an angel and from the angelic realms. And when we went under in hypnosis, currently at the same time, she is a reptilian commander killing people. Okay,
Yeah.
we come into these bodies for the experience.
Right. Exactly.
So it's about, oh, I want to know what it's like to be disconnected from source, to hurt someone. What does that feel like? I don't know. Let me go find out. Okay, then she's that reptilian commander. Then the angelic side of her, she's like, oh, I want to know what it's like to go help people now against myself being the reptilian commander. So boom, she's into this body here on Earth helping Starseeds. So there is, again, it's all about the experience. That's it. That is the only reason we do this, is
Mhm.
to experience something specific that we're here to experience. But that taught me that you can have an angelic being who's a reptilian.
Yeah. And you can have a human that doesn't know that she's some pain inflicting something. But it will echo in all of her lifetimes. It will echo whatever is happening in other dimensions will have a nuance difference, in this lifetime. So
Yeah. So I think it's huge to accept that, take acceptance of that, and understand that in the end, we are all awareness wanting to experience something, whatever that is, being a rock, a dog, a human, whatever. So it's just duality. That's it. It's all about duality, and we want to know what it feels like to do different things and how can we grow our soul, and
mhm.
that's it.
I think there is a point, though. I think there is a point to nobility, and there's a point to honor, and there's a whole reason why they're called virtues, and something that people ascribe to. I know it's all about having the just baseline experience, but it does seem like this creative energy that is creating this experience has a preference. It has a preference at a certain time. It's like it cycles up and it cycles down with the different feelings and expressions of itself that it's going through. Like source itself is expressing itself through these tiny little fractals. So all of these things that as the collective grows and develops a like disdain towards, of what at one point in time it was okay for us to have lunch and watch somebody get eaten by a lion. That was totally collectively acceptable, right? Just eat the popcorn, watch the slaves get ripped up by lions and bears. that was fun. That was like going to the movies. Now, if we do that, then that's crazy. Nobody's gonna want to do that. Everybody's gonna be like, God, no, this is horrific. I hate this. That's because we are advancing, we're changing, we're ascending to a different vibration, and that vibration is not one that is really into corruption and the negativity. It might go back down again, but right now we're going up. We're going up to a golden age. It's a different harmonic. So yeah, though it might be a different experience, as a collective, we kind of hate things that hurt things. As like the majority of our consciousness, like nobody really likes a kid getting hurt as like on a majority. So if you're thinking of this creative energy running all of us, then that's the preference of that energy at that moment. And that's why we don't have slaves anymore, and we don't like put kids in factories anymore to work. And we're like slowly developing a preference to higher powers, to higher vibrations. And we're like slowly developing an intolerance to negative vibrations, as if you speak of us as a humanity, as a collective. So I do think a lot of things are just having an experience, but I do think there's a point to this whole thing right now, you know.
Well, in this reality right now, yes, right? Because the balance has shifted to the negative. But in the end, right, the whole idea is that the divine or whatever source is love. Therefore, we know love is not negative. But in the end, there has to be balance. So whenever the negative is winning, then we bring in the positive to balance again, you know. But in the end, it's really duality, being in balance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's
So
always tipping the scale back and forth.
yes,
But trying to be neutral about like baby rape is hard, you know?
I absolutely get that, and that's always been the hardest thing for me to explain to people. Um, but um, you know, in some cases that's karma because the person
Mhm.
did that to someone else.
Yeah.
I've had that in one of my sessions.
But even
Um,
understanding how karma works is still hard for me to stomach. You know, sometimes when I feel like the suffering somebody I'm working with is something karmically related, I'm still just like, oh God. I see cultures that widely accept the concept of karma and they work with it and they develop like ways to navigate it. And some like of the Eastern Asian cultures will like happily suffer their karma because they know in like the next life I'll be over this and I can like go do whatever I want. And it seems there's like this thing that happens when you just kind of like, yeah, this is my thing that I have to do this life. You know, it's like it's a kind of a weight lifted expansion, and it can change the trajectory of your incarnation. It can change your experience of it, you know?
yeah. Well, and during my sessions, you know, I did hundreds and hundreds of sessions.
Mhm.
Many of the times the reason, I would say 90% of the time, the reason that the higher self said this was happening to the person was because they had to learn compassion.
Mhm.
And that how much more compassion can you learn when you've been raped as a child,
Right.
right?
But then,
So
yeah,
it's the ultimate lesson in compassion, ultimate
it
lesson in compassion.
it's a big one. It's
It's
a
a
big
big
one,
one.
which means like, you know, I don't know. You can't get caught up in the victim thing because then you
Yeah,
never get it.
yeah.
But I do have to run to a session. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I lost track of time. All
I'm
right,
so
everybody. It was wonderful. We love you. Thank you for being here.
sorry,
Love you,
everybody.
Zoe.
I love the questions. Have a great day.
Bye.